Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to our Investor Quest presentations for today. What we have is a group of projects, individuals who are going to present their projects to our preeminent angel investors who are going to have a look at each of these opportunities. They each have, a bit like Dragon's Den, they all have 20 million euros each to invest today. They will look at each of their projects and get an opportunity to invest that 20 million either in one particular project or they can spread that amongst the 4 different projects. The angel investors, when they get their opportunities to ask the questions to see how well the individual projects are presented, and then at the end we can allocate how much money they've allocated to each of the projects, and clearly at the end we'll then establish who the winner is today. So to kick off the event, let's introduce our first preeminent angel investor. We've got Appleyard, Head of UK Specialist Property Funds from AVIVA Investors. Okay, the next person is Hamish MacDonald. Come on down, Hamish. Hamish is Head of Acquisitions at MGPA. Next is Bernard Phang, Managing Director of Head of Investments Europe at GIC Real Estate. Robert Wolstenholme, Director of Resolution Property. Come on down. Okay, let's now meet our projects. Our first project is Michael Ingall, Chief Executive at Allied London. He will be presenting the Spinningfields project in Manchester. Secondly, we have Martin Farrington, Acting Director of City Developments at the Leeds City Council. They're going to be presenting their Sovereign Street Leeds project. Next is Clive Dutton, Executive Director of Generation Planning and Property for London Borough of Newham. Clive's going to be presenting the Royal Docks of London project. We have Julian Barwick, Director of Development Securities at Hammersmith Grove, W8. This, we believe, will surely become a place for occupiers in West London.
Just on the income, increasing it from, I think you said, 2.3 million to 3.5 million over the course of 5 years. How do you propose to do that?
We've had to lease this space in a sort of particularly soft market. We have had to actually give a lot of incentives to tenants. We have a whole area of public realm on which we can actually build other assets. But actually, generally, like any hotel or restaurant even, I actually think shopping assets, you need a period of maturity. Within that portfolio, there are about 7 empty shops with an estimated rental value on those somewhere in the order of £300,000. So there's actually lots of areas to enhance our current returns.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our second project, we've got Sovereign Street in Leeds.
Could you tell me a bit more about how many other office developments in Leeds we'd be competing against?
Well, the office vacancy in Leeds is about 16%, which compares very well with provincial cities. The proposition I'm offering you is that we would work together in partnership and we wouldn't move forward until that pre-let is secured. But what we would do as a local authority, and this is why it's great to have a local authority as a partner, is that we're creating that environment, we're bringing KPMG to the table on the site, we're creating that high quality green space, which is that real set piece opportunity that, as I've said previously, creates that this is the must locate location in the city centre.
We're looking at Hammersmith Grove here.
I guess one question is in terms of timing, when is this going to be delivered? And in line with that, also the leasing strategy, you don't provide rental guarantees, so who's going to do the leasing?
Bernard, I never count my chickens with these planning committees, but if it's the case that planning is obtained this evening, then there is no reason why we can't start the process of construction immediately. It's a very simple building. It's got no basement, so it can be built. It can be built very, very quickly. As to leasing, it'll be the responsibility of Development Securities to ensure satisfactory leasing of the building, because as you'd expect, a part of the profit that I referred to is going to be for Development Securities account, as well as for our investing partner, and it's certainly part of of our story that were good leases of office buildings.
Okay, so we now have Clive Dutton, Executive Director of Regeneration Planning and Property, who's going to present to us the London Borough of Newham.
I think it's what's been achieved there so far is phenomenal, and I like the attraction of that. There's been a huge amount spent on the infrastructure, which is sort of one of our key criteria. I guess what I would ask is, if we brought an idea along, is there an assumption you get planning for that? So are the planning regulations being relaxed?
Yeah. We have what we operate as a virtual development corporation. You use the London Borough of Newham's planning powers and the land of the London Development Agency, the Mayor of London. We are the fastest local planning authority in determining planning applications of all the 31 London boroughs.
Okay, that was really, really interesting. Just because of the interest of time, we're not going to get a great time to debate each of the opportunities and go into too much analysis. But I think what we should do is just have a quick recap from the investors, just to get their insights. And if we can, gentlemen, if we can try and keep it pretty succinct in terms of your observations and response to the 4 presentations. In no particular order, but just give us your view. Andrew?
Okay, well, we had 4 very different projects, sort of basically going up the risk curve as I saw it. I thought the Spinningfields, you've got in a very established location, mature scheme, which has been incredibly successful over the period of the last 10 years. The Sovereign Street Leeds scheme, great potential, needs a pre-let, to my mind. Hammersmith Grove, again, great potential. I can see the undersupply issue here in terms of the western London suburbs. And the Royal Docks is a massive long-term project, and I think your return criteria has to be different for each project. So from my 4 very interesting projects, in terms of all could be sort of potential of interest, it's how you actually structure a transaction.
I'll start from, I guess, the other end, and I'll start with the Royal Docks, which I think is obviously an incredible regeneration area. We recently invested in Docklands, in South Docklands, and so we know that area well. I do think it will be fantastic for long-term investment. I think short-term question...
In your lifetime, Hamish, or beyond?
Well, maybe in my lifetime. I'm not sure about some others, but I think that I question first mover advantage, just with the Canary Wharf example, but otherwise I think fantastic. Hammersmith Grove, really do buy into the Central London rental growth story. My slight question mark is whether Hammersmith really will outperform, just because of the competition from other areas in Central London in terms of connectivity with the new Crossrail, etc. The Sovereign Street project, I think it's fantastic that the City Council is supporting the project, and I think we need to see more of that. I think that you could potentially structure something interesting there. And then with Spinningfields, I just think I know it, and I think it's a fantastic scheme, and they've done fantastically well, and having someone like Mike running your project up there would be super.
Bernard?
I think they're, in some sense, quite different proposals. It's difficult to rank them as such. For me, though, I mean, I have to be honest, we would normally, for office, concentrate in the bigger cities, just because of a lack of knowledge, if you like, of the second cities or third-tier cities. So I probably, for that reason, would not venture beyond Manchester. Not that there is anything wrong with Leeds. The Royal Dock, I think we would certainly need to have a partner to do that. It's not something we can do in-house. And if there's a partner with an idea who come to us looking for financial partner, then we can look at the specific proposal.
Well, the area that I would kind of focus on for all the projects is we look for places where there's limited supply and lots of demand, because as investors that usually means we can get growth. So from that perspective, you would say that my gut reaction would be that Hammersmith is the right time in the cycle, and there is certainly limited supply and pretty good demand in London for space.
Is that now your top pick, Hammersmith?
Well, actually, that having been said, the Spinningfields situation, and particularly
Are you swaying now, Robert?
the very convincing case put across by Mike Ingall with very clear numbers, and the opportunity to get into a platform where we could do some more business together, I think is very appealing.
Okay, gentlemen, Andrew, tell me how you're going to spend your 20 million.
2.5 for Spinningfields, 5 for Leeds, 7.5 for Hammersmith, and 5 for Royal Docks. The Royal Docks and Sovereign Street are subject to pre-lets.
Subject to pre-lets. Okay.
I'm Royal Docks,
How
3
much?
million.
3 million.
I think I'll get a lot of bang for my buck down there for that.
Okay.
Sovereign Street, I see as option value. Buy in now with the potential to do something later. 3 million. And the big tickets for me were Hammersmith Grove, 6 million, and Spinningfields, 8 million.
Bernard? Let's go shopping.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go more extreme and take more risk in terms of diversification. I'm going to give 10 to Spinningfields. And
There's a call for you, I think, Bernard. Somebody wants to up
yes,
that offer.
the check is in the mail. Sovereign Street, I need to really understand a lot more about Leeds. Royal Docks, we need a more concrete proposal from anybody, so it's a question mark for me. And I just put the other 10 in Hammersmith.
Okay, so you're going to split 10 and 10.
Yeah, it's basically
Hammersmith and
10
Spinning.
and 10 between.
Perfect. Okay. Robert?
For me, I regret that Sovereign and Royal Docks are probably too long-term projects for me. I'm sure they've got merits for different types of investors, though. I would go long Spinningfields, 15 million, and Hammersmith Grove, 5, unless there is a way of getting the returns up.
Very good. Ah, Manchester. Well done. Fantastic. Can we give these ladies and gentlemen a certificate and a round of applause? Well done. I think you've done a fantastic job. You've got some great projects on the go there, and there is no doubt in my mind that you will do well.